Hi, it's Ashley from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and yesterday you saw that I posted a video all about edible image wrapping. Today we're just going to be looking at the more simple edible images, which are just pop-out style or on cookies. So firstly, you're going to take your fondant and you're going to make sure that you cut it out the same size, of course, as your edible image. All edible images usually have some sort of plastic backing, so make sure that you leave that on while you're cutting it out. This is going to keep it nice and fresh. Now, I actually cut these out in two different ways. Ideally, you want some sort of punch that can actually cut these perfectly, but when I did it for the fondant piece, I did it with a little border, and when I did it for the cookie, I left no border at all. These fondant pieces were drying overnight, which honestly is a little bit too long because they do end up cracking just a slight bit. This really isn't going to matter too much, but to avoid the cracking, you just want to let these dry for a little bit so that they're not super floppy. Now I'm applying water and I'm going to place this stick on the inside. Then I'm going to place my other fondant piece on top and make sure that they both adhere together. This just ensures that everything is super solidified. Now I'm going to put a little bit of water on top of that fondant and we're going to place that image directly on. If you watched my edible image video from yesterday, then there's two different ways to do this. You can either do it with shortening or with water. When you do it with water, it's kind of a one and done. So if you mess up, you won't be able to remove it. So instead, you can use shortening and that way you can move things around. Then this will dry fairly quickly and you can just place it onto your cake or whatever else you're using it for. The next way I'm going to show you how to put on your edible image is on a cookie. So firstly, this is where I used to make mistakes all the time with putting edible images on cookies. You do want to make sure that you get a good base on there first, and we are going to completely dry this. So you're going to pipe and flood this, or you can just flood it directly like I am, and then you are going to make sure that it is solidified on top and that it goes completely matte. The reason is if you place it on just the wet icing, you get rippling, and then your actual edible image is going to start ripping and rippling. I dried this cookie within minutes, and if you want to know how I actually do that, you can go ahead and check out this video in the right-hand corner. Then after it fully dried, I put a little bit of royal icing on there just so that this adheres really nicely. You don't want to flatten it too much. The surface of this icing is dry, but the underneath part is still a little bit wet. Now, whenever I'm doing edible images, I don't really like to leave them cut like this, though you can, especially if your customer is on a budget, but go ahead and add a border or whatever else to make sure that that adheres properly. Now, there are a number of ways to make that edible image work on a cookie. I personally like to incorporate the image a little bit more so it's kind of part of the design rather than just the design as a whole. But sometimes you are going to get companies that want things made in mass, and this is the way to go. So as always, let's get into the pricing for these edible images. Now, this is a little bit different and a little bit trickier, so I'm going to explain this as best as I can. Now, for an edible image cookie, I would charge $4 each. However, there would be a minimum of 24 cookies. And for that fondant decal that's standing up, you might think, wow, $25 just for that? The reason is because if you don't have your own edible image printer, you would need to go and purchase the edible image from a local bakery or wherever else you can get your edible image printing done. And where I'm from, this service can range anywhere from about $10 to $20. So you just want to make sure that you're really covering your costs. It doesn't really take that much to actually cut out the fondant circles, but again, picking up the image, making sure that everything is in place is a task. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading weekly, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. Bye!